let's bring in our diplomatic correspondent, Hassan Abdullah, who joins us now from Bishkek, the Kyrgyz capital. Hassan, good to see you. So the Organization of Turkic States, clearly backing, giving their support to Kazakhstan. They're going to do all they can for the situation to return to normal. What type of support are we talking about that we can expect from this organization?
Well, Alijan, at this stage, the support they're talking about is, number one, political support. At a time when the government of Kazakhstan has been facing some criticism over its handling of the protests and the whole affair. And some have basically been accusing it of violating human rights, especially the statement of the Kazakh president that he's ordered the terrorists, as he put them, to be shot on sight. There was this criticism at that time, of course, the states from the Turkic Council coming together saying that they stand with Kazakhstan. That does carry some weight. The other type of support at this point in time that has been mentioned is technical support when it comes to reconstruction. There has been quite a bit of damage, especially around Almaty, and that's where the technical support could be provided in restoring, for example, the telephone and internet services and other damage that has been done. But if we look at the statement from the Turkish Foreign Minister, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, I think it does leave room for the expansion of scope. So, for example, he has said that any sort of assistance that's needed will be provided. So at this point in time, there's no mention of any security assistance, but if needed, then we can safely assume that that would be one of the options.
Hassan, what are your sources telling you about what the current situation is like in Kazakhstan? Because we know the president is coming out and saying things are getting back to normal, but surely after all the things that have transpired over the past 10 days, with the number of killings, the buildings being burned, the shops being looted, surely there must be some trepidation amongst the people there.
Well, we have mixed reactions. Generally, as far as the situation on the ground is concerned, it does appear to be improving, especially if you look at it in relative terms. Over the last few days, the sort of scenes of carnage we've seen, that is not the case. Now is basically the time for the government and authorities to take stock. Places like Almaty have been secured, all the strategic installations have been secured, and people are basically trying to reopen their businesses. Some of them have been gutted in those incidents. Of course, if you look at the statements from the authorities, the president of Kazakhstan has said that the situation is now under control. The authorities are not now talking about the investigation phase. So they're talking about the involvement or alleged involvement of some people close to the former president, Nursultan Nazarbayev. A number of them are under investigation. We know that at least 3 officers have apparently committed suicide. They had been under investigation for their alleged involvement in what the authorities are describing a coup attempt. We've heard from Kazakhstan's ambassador to Turkey. She's talked about some radical Muslim elements from different countries stirring trouble in Kazakhstan. So investigation is ongoing at the moment, and they seem to be shifting focus now towards the involvement, those who are involved, and the measures that need to be taken to protect them. But as far as the security is concerned, it seems that the authorities are quite confident, especially if you look at the statement of the president saying that the troops that were there for peacekeeping purposes are going to start their withdrawal in the next 2 days, and they're going to complete the withdrawal in 10 days.
Okay, Hassan, I have about a minute left. The president is calling an attempted coup d'etat. Talk to us about this political infighting amongst the elite there.
Well, basically what seems to be happening is that the current administration feels that some of the loyalists of the previous president have been trying to bring him back. So they're saying that there's an attempt to bring back former President Nursultan Nazarbayev. People from the current National Security Committee has come under suspicion. People from the military has come under suspicion. And of course, people from the political administration. So we know that, for example, the person who's been appointed as the prime minister, he's previously served as the deputy prime minister, as the vice minister for foreign affairs, in economic positions. He has a certain academic background. He was initially investigated, and then it seems that he was cleared, and that's why he's been appointed as the prime minister now. So there is this suspicion that exists within the elite grouping that's there, but they're trying to fix the affairs.
All right, Hassan, thank you very much for that. Well, Paul Bell is a political communications specialist, and he has more on why President Tokayev is distancing himself from his predecessor.
The president is now resorting to the use of populist language, which puts some distance between himself and his predecessor, quite some considerable distance, and quite awkwardly so as well, because clearly Tokayev was, a party of the Nazarbayev, regime, came up through that, but is now, accusing the previous regime of having, established a society dominated by wealth and privilege and so on. So this guy knows he has to kind of ward off what may come again. I mean, one of the other interesting indicators which has come out of this today is the fact that he has spoken about an early withdrawal of Russian troops. Now, this is obviously also playing to an important domestic and regional agenda. He needs to demonstrate as best he can that he actually is in control of the situation and not reliant on Russian intervention or the support of other parties to the particular treaty organization that they all belong to. So, yeah, as I said, this is, in an attempt to forestall further reaction on the street at some point.
The United Nations has launched its biggest ever appeal for aid for a single country. The world body says it needs $5 billion to avert a humanitarian catastrophe in Afghanistan. The U.S., following the appeal, has promised more than $300 million this year. The country plunged into financial chaos after the Taliban seized control back in mid-August of last year. Since then, billions of dollars of Afghanistan's assets have been frozen, and much-needed humanitarian aid has been disrupted. The situation has been compounded by the worst drought in decades.
The conflict between the Taliban and the previous government is over, and that has opened up some space of security, which I think we need to take advantage of. But to do that, we need those resources that are part of this appeal. The key here is to stabilize the situation.